Hello and welcome everyone. A very good evening. This is a new episode of Money Means Business. Before we start, let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Mostafa Naggary, the head of Rice and Seeds Committee in the Chambers of Commerce Union and our economic expert. Thank you very much for being with us,
Thank
sir.
you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Before we start our talk and before we start discussing our main topic of the episode, which is going to tackle an important national mega project in the field of agriculture and land reclamation, let me first congratulate you as an Egyptian, congratulate us, congratulate our viewers with marking the 7th anniversary of the new Suez Canal. Egypt did it, and 7 years ago, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated the new Suez Canal. Sir, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's really a very happy day for all Egyptians. As you know that the Suez Canal is having a very sincere historical relation in most of the Egyptian houses.
Yeah.
We always talked about the Suez Canal, about the benefits. And personally, I am as one of the importers who usually import the cereals through the Asia, and most of the vessels used to berth in Suez ports like Adabiya, like Port Tawfiq, and Sokhna, of course. So we can easily understand the benefit of what happened lately with the new stream, because we saved a lot of money. We encouraged a lot of vessels to come to Egypt. And that's why the result at the end, which we are all celebrating today, that in July 2022, we have reached $700 as income for the Suez Canal.
And a record
really
of 89 ships carrying total net tonnage of 5.2 million tons passed through the Suez Canal in both directions, the highest daily traffic rate. These were some of the statements or the statistics which were released. But sir, whether the old one or the new one, both were challenges, and challenges facing the Egyptian, even simple citizen. But we are up to it. True?
Yeah, and as you say, the challenges always is linked to the new republic, as we say. Since President Sisi started to take the responsibility, really, he was trying to do something which some time you have to discuss about these projects. But at the end, the results until this moment is very successful. Nobody is talking about the cost at the time being, because we see the result.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to reach about $8.2, $8.3 billion per year for the Suez Canal.
And being placed on the Silk Road for China, the fastest navigational route, this is another example of real achievements on the ground.
Yes, correct, correct. I mean, if we just focus on the trade legs and the trade movement all over the world, so we can realize that the Suez Canal is a big player of the trade, and the legs which is coming from Asia to Europe is having, especially after the increase of the bunker prices, of the oil prices. So we can see that we are really managing the Suez Canal, the authority of the Suez Canal. I have to congratulate them with this really great success.
Headed by Rear Admiral Osama Rabia, of course.
Correct.
Sir, not far from the navigational route and from the added value to our national economy, we are not speaking only about a navigation route. We are speaking about industrial zones, logistics, logistical zones, maritime industry, investing in the area and attracting investors, whether from inside, from outside, from the Arab world, from the international world, to come and to invest here. True? And to what extent this is going to be, or to for us to have these tangible results on the ground, or their fruitful results on the ground?
We are always promoting for these new industrial zones, and as you know, GAFI, which is the General Authority of Investment in Egypt, is always linked to most of the missions to Europe to try to promote for these projects. And I can tell you that it is doing well at the time being, but we have to focus that it's easy to invite investments and to try to attract investment, but to have this successfully 100%, you have also to give them easy departure. Okay, you have to always to attract the investor, to tell them, yes, come here please, we have a good tax system, we will give you some reductions, we have a low cost labors, whatever. But at the end, the other equation, the other side of the equation is that if you want to leave, we are going to give you to live in peace,
smoothly and
okay?
easily.
Yes, and this was a problem in a certain time. But for the last 1.5 years, I think with the new legislations, with the new laws, it's clear, or crystal clear, as we say, that easily, if you are an investor and you will come to Egypt, at the time you want to leave, okay, you will leave. Okay, there is
with the new Egypt, let's say, with the new republic, and with saying no to bureaucracy or to obstacles in front of the investors. Prime Minister Dr. Mostafa Madboul, he himself, in many occasions, by the way, said that he himself can be in direct contacts with the investors, whether from inside or from outside, just to pave the way for them to continue with their work on the ground without any obstacles in the way. So congratulations to you, sir, and to all of us. It's a real occasion which deserve to be celebrated. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with a dear part of Egypt, and with knowing well that every part of Egypt can act as a milestone, and the mega project there can be a blessing which we really should work hard to benefit from each, not hectare, not meter, from each centimeter of it. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.
The agriculture sector in Egypt witnessed a surge in exports as a result of the state's tendency to increase land reclamation projects and cultivated areas. In 2017 and 2018, agriculture land areas increased to 59.2 thousand fidans, and the rate of increase in reclaimed land was about 52% compared to the previous year, according to the Central Agency for Mobilization and Statistics. The report stated that during the last agriculture season, September 2020 to February of this year, the volume of agriculture exports to Egypt witnessed a significant increase over a period of only 6 months compared to the same period of the export season last year, as the value of exports amounted to $1.1 billion, with a total of 1.8 million tons. According to the report, the agriculture citrus crops came in the forefront as they achieved an export value of $389 million, distributed over 8,000 tons, and the Arab countries topped the list of important countries of Egypt's agriculture products by 289,000 tons at a value of $109 million. Recently, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed the implementation of a new national project in the agriculture sector, which is the New Delta, with an area of 1 million fidans on the northwestern coast at the Daba axis, and includes within its scope the Egypt Future for Agriculture Production project with an area of 500,000 acres. Dr. Naim Musalhi, advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and Land Reclamation for the horizontal expansion, indicated that the New Delta, which President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed to implement, aims to absorb the population increase in the Old Delta and the valley of young graduates in developed and modern villages. The New Delta is a huge achievement through which we aim to strengthen the state's strategy in agriculture and urban expansion, achieving food security and establishing new agriculture, urban and industrial communities characterized by modern systems, which reveals pressure on the Delta and the valley and provides thousands of new job opportunities.
Welcome back. Sir, we were very much delighted to have you in in other episodes of our program. And we were speaking about the mega projects in agriculture. And today we are going to continue what we have started. Regarding Toshka, Toshka is such a dear place, as I said before. And unfortunately, we were exposed or were introduced to Toshka just a few decades ago. Not many Egyptians know about Toshka as such a place which can be a source of our national income or an added value to our national income. And at certain time, the project stopped. Now we are back. And I think we learned the lesson that every part of Egypt is very much valuable and we should benefit from each meter of it. Let's introduce Toshka first to our viewers, and then we are going to go into the details of what's going on even as we speak.
I have to thank you once again. This is the third time for me to be here with you in the channel, in the program. The first two meetings we spoke about the new Delta, about the Egypt Future project, and we spoke about Reef El Masri, which is leading to 1.5 million fedans. And now we are talking about Toshka.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to know that the three mega projects are linked together. This is a very important issue to understand. The different is the way of implementation in each project. But at the end, they all monitor to increase the production of the agri-production and to try to reduce the consumption of water.
Okay.
And to try to get benefit of each cubic meter which can be used for the agriculture. I can tell that there is a great interest in the government and of course hosted by President Sisi for the agriculture sector. It is quite clear. And if we see that the three mega projects are working in the same time and they are on the planned program. But if we talk to Toshka, Toshka was first announced at 2000 and then it was redirected at 2007 and then it stopped since 2010 until the redirection of implementation at 2017. So they started again.
Yeah.
The difference in Toshka is that I am as a civil engineer. I am a civil engineer and we studied irrigation. It was a very important subject to study.
Yeah.
That in this project, all the irrigation constructions, which you have learned, it's all
Implemented
there. Okay, so always we say that the biggest construction in irrigation is the dams. So in Toshka there is big sand dams which is directing the water at a certain point in the project. There is weirs, okay, there is barges, there is overflows, there is canals, there is streams, there is pumping stations. So most of the projects and most of the construction in the irrigation which we have studied are all gathered in this project.
Yeah.
So it's a very big and mega project and we consider it the biggest agri-reclamation project in the Middle East. It is leading at the end to plant 540,000 fedans. Most of the arrangements and of the planned programs are already underway. We are reaching up to 85% of the project until this moment. The source of water is Zayed Canal, and it's taking the water from Nasser Lake. Okay,
Yeah.
so
The biggest artificial lake worldwide.
yes.
Yeah.
The length of the canals is total about 200 kilometers with the main canal and the streams, and they have a huge pumping station which is 21 pumps. It will lead at the end to about 25 million cubic meter per day. And at the end, the water share is about 5 to 5.5 billion cubic meter of water. So that means that this project was programmed to have a constant water, but if you have a good storage in Nasser Lake, okay, these pumping stations are going to work even if the height of the water in
Nasser Lake is
Nasser
below
is
below the level.
140,
Yeah.
147 meters. So it can work until it will come
It
down
reached
to
this
140.
amount. Yeah.
So it have a sort of factor of safety, as we say as engineers.
Yes.
It have a very good factor of
Safety,
safety.
safety
Yes.
margin, as the
There
doctors are
was
saying. Yeah.
big problems. There was in the way for the canal. There was a very big granite mountain.
Yeah.
It was about 9 kilometers. So they break through this mountain, and now the canal and the water.
I want to go into these details, sir,
Yes.
but because you mentioned a very important statement that all the three projects are integrated
connected
together
to each other. Yes.
and connected.
Yes.
Of course, for the best interest of us, of
Yeah.
the Egyptians.
Yeah.
What are the differences? I mean, do we have studies and strategic plans to
Yeah.
benefit from each according to the nature of the soil, according to the
Yes.
water resources or the irrigation system, according to the crops which we should cultivate in each place? Because it was, for example, announced that in I think 40,000 fadans in Tushka, they will turn to be a paradise of palm trees. We are going to
Correct.
have dates with our
Yeah.
taste. Let
Right.
us know more about this.
Any agri projects have to be linked with several service providers, if we say. So the point you are talking about is linked only to the research centers, okay? So of course the agri research centers of the Ministry of Agriculture and all the agri research centers in the universities of
In
Egypt.
universities or in colleges
They
all
are
over
all
Egypt.
participating, and they are diverting their work into reality because they are working for the seeds and the seedless. They are working for the type of soil. They are working for the climate exchange. They are at the end. You have to get the better, or the best, or the maximum productivity from the square meter with the least consumption of the cubic meter of water. So at the end, everybody in the whole world, we are not working alone. No, there is always supervisors coming from everywhere. We see that some people are coming from Japan, some people are coming from Holland. They are all participating in such projects because everyone is having his, what he say. He having his innovation about what we are saying. Thanks God that we mentioned that before, that Egypt have joined a union which is called the UPOF, which is very important because it is gathering the loyalty owners of the varieties, which is increasing the productivity. Nobody is focusing that, but we have to say that. That in the open field, when we plant a tomato, let us say, the maximum productivity we say we have is between 30 to 35 tons per fadan. But with the new varieties, with the new protected plantation, we are reaching 100 tons. So you cannot imagine that with technology, with the work of the research centers, we are having better results. So that's why we are all focusing on that. At the end, we are trying also to reduce the consumption of pesticides, and at the end will lead to the decrease of the carbon emission at the end, because at the end everybody have to follow what is called the Green Deal, which by 2050 Europe doesn't want any carbon, zero carbon in the severe. So at the end, you cannot do that unless You follow that in the industry, in the agriculture, in all your service activities. You have to decrease the carbon emission. So agriculture is a part of this activity, which I think it is one of the main services which have to be focused and controlled for the emission, for the carbon emission especially.
Sir, Tushka is such a big area.
Yeah.
And I think that whenever it comes to mega project like that, the private sector should play a role. And the place there, with all what you have said, I think now it's ready to receive many investors and many private sector, even startups, because there can be their start or their way, their gate to the future. If you want to elaborate on that and to what extent this area is going to be that attractive even in the near future, whether for Egyptians or non-Egyptians.
As I mentioned, that the three mega projects is connected to each other.
Yeah.
So if we see that in Rif al Masri, as an example, a part of the land which is offering is in Toshka.
Yes.
Okay. If we talk about the link between Toshka and the lowlands of Toshka until Siwa. You can imagine.
Yeah.
This is a project which is always underway. So this is connecting investors, because we can realize that at least in the last months, many of our dear Arab brothers, investors, are calling and trying to join with Egyptians for new projects in the agriculture.
Yeah.
So we can see, and you have mentioned that in our last
Episode or meeting.
yes, that all the presidents, when they met with Biden, they were talking about the food security.
Amen.
Okay, and the food security, you have to reach it through two ways. Either you have to increase your productivity, or you have to open the channels and the logistics, which have faced a lot of problems for everyone, as we mentioned, according to the Russian-Ukrainian war. So at the end, what happened? That the US have raised all the sanctions for Russia,
On Russia because of the military operation
for
in
four
Ukraine,
items,
yes.
which is the food, the medicine, the pesticides, and the gas.
Fertilizers,
And
yes.
at the end, European Union followed the US, and at the end, Russia accepted that, and we have seen that the prices of the wheat have decreased. So at the end, if we go to the investors, of course, we have very good chances of investing in the agriculture sector at the moment. I can tell that. You have to work for the seeds, you have to work for the pests, you have to work for the logistics as well.
Amen.
You have to work
Sure.
for the pack stations, for the cold
All
stores.
elements together
for
to guarantee
using-
that this is
for
going to be a
using
story
new
of
ways
success.
of,
Okay, let me
source.
ask you in a very direct manner. Tushka as a project can
Yeah.
be our way to be self-sufficient regarding the wheat issue.
The main crops, we all know, that always we are focusing on the strategic crops.
Strategic crops.
Okay, this is the big problem in Egypt, which is wheat, corn, sugar,
Grains.
which comes from sugar beet, so and the oil crops. Okay, and Egypt is having a big challenges for that. Okay, we have mentioned before that we need about 1.2 million ton of wheat each month, monthly basis. Okay, so you can imagine whatever we are increasing is just trying to close this gap, okay, of our production and our demand. So at the end, we are covered at the moment. I have to tell that for the last 1.5 months, Egypt through the
Today,
gas-
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was in an inspection
are
tour in the
all
military
in-
academy,
yeah.
and he said it bluntly: we do have 6 months strategic reserves from all their strategic
more.
commodities,
I can tell
or even
more.
more than that.
I can tell
Yeah.
more. So, but at the end, for the corn, we import most of our corn. We don't produce any corn. We produce only white corn,
Yeah.
which is a part of the equation of the fertilizer and the pests and so on, and the animal feed, of course. But at the end, we are importing 12 million tons of corn. So we can imagine that a part of these mega projects will have to monitor the strategic crops. And another part is always the economical diversion or the economical goal. So that's why Toshka is one of the areas which is considered to be a hub for the dates
Yeah.
in the whole world. So about 2 million palm tree is going to be planted. I think we reach it until today, maybe 1.7. So we are going to increase.
On
That's
the
why
right track,
Egypt now
yes.
is #1 in the production of dates all over the world.
Yeah. Well, right after this report, we are going to turn back to speak about Toshka and about our south and about to what extent this can be a real added value to our economy. And before going to that, today millions of Egyptians were celebrating the success of their sons and daughters in الثانوية العامة or the final year in secondary schools. Please take into consideration the Faculty of Agriculture. And please know well that this is our future. Since you cultivate what you eat, you do have what you eat, you are such a strong, powerful nation. Take this into consideration, please, and do not think that much about, if you permit me, sir, about the Ministry of, about the Faculty of Medicine or Engineering. They are great, but now we need agriculture. Right after the short break, we are going to be back with more.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed to expand the activity of the Egypt's Future project so that it is implemented within a comprehensive and integrated framework to achieve optimal utilization of state assets and to make the maximum use of the available resources. He also stressed the need to adopt the concept of giant agriculture entities that have the ability to make a qualitative leap in the modern agriculture sector and achieve food security, in addition to relying on the latest global technology in irrigation and agriculture. This came during President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's meeting with Lieutenant General Mohammed Abbas Helmi, Commander of the Air Force, Major General Amir Said Ahmed, Advisor to the President of the Republic for Urban Planning, and Pilot Baha el-Din el-Ghannam, Director of the Future of Egypt project. Ambassador Bassem Rodi, official spokesman for the Presidency of the Republic, stated that the meeting dealt with following up on the developments of the executive position of the national project Egypt's Future for Agriculture Production within the scope of the giant project New Delta to reclaim a total area of 2.2 million fedans. President el-Sisi also directed that the Egypt's Future project focus on cultivating the strategic commodities necessary to reduce the import gap, as well as benefiting from the project by including various productive activities related to agriculture activity to achieve an added value for the project's productivity, as well as the establishment of an integrated agriculture manufacturing complex to achieve self-sufficiency in production requirements, in addition to the system of factories, silos, and coolers required for the work of this giant project. Thinking about the Egypt's Future project began in April 2017 when President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi directed the start of implementing the Egypt's Future project for agriculture production to provide high-quality agriculture products at reasonable prices to citizens and to export the surplus abroad, which contributes to reducing imports, providing hard currency, and achieving development goals sustainable by cultivating 500,000 fedans. About 200,000 fedans were reclaimed in the first phase of the project, and the other phases are being reclaimed with an area of 300,000 fidans to provide water resources. The project relies on the plants that were set up to treat agriculture wastewater. The national project, Egypt's Future, represents a new addition to the series of giant national agriculture projects implemented by the state, and the area of 500,000 fidans was chosen on the El Daba axis due to the multiple geographical advantages this site provides. The location is close to export ports, airports, industrial areas, and a number of main roads and access, which facilitates the transportations of agriculture products from the project lands to all parts of the Republic. The Egypt's Future project contributed to providing agriculture products to citizens at reasonable prices during the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, in addition to providing foreign currency for the benefit of the country's national economy by bridging the gap in the local market between production and import. The project also provides hundreds of thousands of job opportunities for young people, providing about 7,000 direct jobs and more than 200,000 indirect jobs through the various activities and the many investment opportunities that the project provides in cooperation with major agriculture companies.
Welcome back. Sir, before our report, we were speaking about strategic crops. And the word strategic is very indicative here. And it says a lot about even the repercussions of what's going on in Europe, the struggle there, and its negative repercussions on the food prices and food security. And as you've kindly mentioned also, whenever there are summit talks, every president is speaking with Biden or with others about food security, because this is the first priority, to eat first. But here, before going into these details, how to guarantee that Tushka and the other two mega projects are going to be a source of security for us regarding these strategic crops, whether cultivating vast amounts of land or number of hectares or fedans, to make sure that this is going to be all dedicated to this, to have these plans to manage with the farmers or with the owners, to make sure that this is going to be for the best interest of us. What?
If we talk about this strategic crops, in general, it is linked to the food of the majority of the people globally, not in Egypt. So at the end, you have to understand that in Egypt, the plantation is going in a different way than what is happening all over the world. So most of the world is planting on the rains, by rains.
Yeah.
And by open fields. And that's why the cost of planting such crops, which we call it the strategic crops, like the wheat, like the corn, like the soya, like the faba beans, like rice, the cost of planting is always cheaper. And at the end, they are controlling more or less the situation of these crops. So what have realized in the last 2-3 years, due to the corona, the COVID-19 problems and obstacles of the logistics all over the world and so on, and then ended by the Russian-Ukrainian war.
Yes.
We discovered a very important result, which countries are controlling others by food. Okay, so that's why maybe Egypt was earlier to try to study to how to close
To
the
recognize
gap.
the problem.
Yes.
Yes.
And at the end, you remember that President Sisi have announced for the mega project of silos in the country, and he
Sure.
was about to increase the sufficiency limit up till 6 months, up to 6 months. It was before 3 months, and before it was less.
Yeah.
And thanks God that we have reached limits, that we had a good sufficiency limit of wheat and of corn and so on. Otherwise, it will be a big mess.
Sure.
Yeah, we can see now everybody, all the houses now are talking about the increase of the prices of the eggs or of the chicken or of the beef, because at the end it is linked to the feed, animal feed, like corn, like soya,
But
like
it's
like
found.
like.
It's there. I
Yes.
mean, it's in the market, and we do have initiatives like كلنا واحد, or we are all one, and we are not just like many of the big economies where you're going to find supermarkets having very small amounts of basic commodities, and each consumer should take one item or one unit to be accurate.
Yeah.
And this is how to manage. The case in Egypt is totally different. But sir, if you permit me, of course, this is great speaking about food and about wheat and about grains and stuff like that. But I don't know why I remember, for example, the important meetings which were presided over by the president or by the prime minister regarding reviving the weaving or the textile industry in al-Mahalla al-Kubra, for example. Here we need cotton.
Yeah.
And with this reputation of the Egyptian cotton, we want to build on what we achieved long ago, since maybe centuries.
Correct.
How we can guarantee that we are going to turn back to this reputation, and we are going to regain our position, not only to meet our local market demands, but also to be such an exporter to the whole world.
For the cotton, I can tell that we are working in two directions, okay? The Ministry of the Public Affairs, قطاع الأعمال العام, they are having a pilot project for the short stables varieties of cotton, and I think it is going successfully. And then, of course, for the long stables, we have a very good varieties, and the whole world is still depending on our long stable cottons, because they are using it as upgrading quality for their cotton. So they always import our cotton to improve their cotton, and at the end they have a better textile at the end, or garments or whatever. So I think that industry was in need to be improved, okay? But according to the demand in the whole world, of course, it is increasing.
Yeah.
We have a very good agreements like the QIZ, like the...
It was such long ago, the QIZ.
Yeah, we have reached up to $1 billion exports for the QIZ, which was at the, just before the signing this agreement was nothing, okay? So at the end, I think that Egypt is on the way back, okay? But always there is competition between the crops for the farmer, okay? Either he plant cotton, or he plant rice, or he plant wheat or faba beans. It always have to be connected with the price,
and
because we are in open
give
market.
Incentives to the farmer,
The
to encourage him to cultivate this crop if we are in need of it more than
this is happening more, in the Delta it's different. Now it's a free market, but in the new mega project, no, there is a sort of arrangement.
Strategic planning.
Yes, there is a planning that you have to plant in this area, this sum of fedans or hectares for wheat, or for the oil crops, or for the corn, or for the sugar beet.
Yes.
I mean, we can say that Egypt is going to reach the sufficiency of the sugar. I mean, 3-4 years before, we used to import 30% of our demand. Today we are hardly importing
at least
2-3%. So we are doing fine in some items. In the wheat, we are having sufficient limit, which I can say it is quite relaxing for everybody.
For
But
President Sisi, you know, he
at
has
the
all the
end,
time
we are
very endless ambitions regarding what we can do. He believes in every Egyptian that he or she can do miracles.
we are trying to do, but miracles, doesn't exist in the whole world, in the life now, because you have to dream. Okay, we have to work, and he is a very hard worker, and we are trying to help everybody in his sector. But at the end, you can see that there is a very accelerating changes, economically changes and crisis happening everywhere, and this can stop your programs. But at the end, what we are doing in the mega project is needed for Egypt, is needed for the future. We have, as we say, we have to minimize the water consumption, we have to increase the productivity, we have to minimize our population, to stop having new babies.
No,
okay?
we will
This
have
is,
new babies,
this
but,
is a very important,
but to a
because
certain limit. But also spreading awareness, sir.
yeah,
Spreading awareness with what's going on the ground. There is a lot of work. I mean,
yes,
aligning the water canals, taking into consideration that we are diversifying our water resources, taking our water security as a red line, and taking into consideration that we are going to go to the end of the route in a way to defend our national water security, taking into consideration that we are inviting investors to come, and we are having so many mega projects in addition to helping the startups and helping the SMEs, small and
Yes.
micro and
a very
projects.
important point.
Because I mean, good, powerful, strong economies cannot depend only on mega projects, but also small and medium projects should have such a
Egypt
share.
is all SMEs. We are all SMEs.
Yes.
Okay, but the mega projects is something which is national benefit for the country, and national request, as we say, for the future of the people. So, but I have to thank you 2 times. One time that you have mentioned Faculty of Agriculture, and really it is very important for the families. I need what I can ask the Prime Minister Mostafa Madbouli, that
Prime Minister Dr. Mostafa
he
Madbouli.
should ask all schools at the time of the high school, the Thalta Sanawi, the last year, to visit the mega projects of the agriculture, and to visit the mega projects in the oil. The students have to see and have to think, because this is their country and they are the future for us. So at the end, when they see this project, I'm sure that they will go to the Ministry of Agriculture, because they will love to work in this field, not because
They're going to go to
their
the Faculty of
degrees
Agriculture.
are leading them to it. So it is very important. So I have to thank you for that. The other point which I have to thank you also about it is about, you mentioned the SMEs. And we have seen before that division of the land, okay, according to the not the law, but according to the normal of life, that a father die and he have 2 children and they have to divide the land for 2. Okay, this is normal and this is happening everywhere, but only in Egypt, which is happening, that everyone have his own land, and he is dividing his land, and then after that a new generation will come and they will divide more and more. But what happened outside, they
totally different.
never do that.
Yeah.
The property and the land is the same. Okay, although the owners are 10, but the land is the same, and the same program is still implemented for plantation, and the countries and the governments are always encouraging by programs to try to gather the lands, not to divide the lands.
Yes.
So that's why we are
It can
working.
be a win-win situation. I mean, for
We
the
are
best interest
working
of
for
all.
we
Everyone
are
can be happy by
working-
the end of the story.
Yeah, we are working for a program which is called the cloud data service. The cloud is like the cloud we have in the mobile, which you have when you have extra capacity for the storage, you have to do it on the cloud.
Virtual storage.
But the cloud
yes.
now is working in the agriculture for the SMEs, that you are just focusing on the neighbors and you are trying to give them data to combine by attractive way, and we are going to establish like clusters, because the cooperatives law in Egypt is not really attractive, and I beg the parliament to look for this program, for this law. We have to look for it and to renew it, to make it easier, to make cooperatives.
For what you're saying to be
it will-
implemented
to
on the
gather
ground
the
and
SMEs together to be a stronger
plan
body.
together. Yes. We are not going to stop neither dreaming nor working on the ground, because this is the future of the coming generations. And I love all the time that you wanna just point to the bright side of the coin.
Always.
Always.
This is Egypt.
Tomorrow
and this
is
our
a brighter
life.
day,
This is
inshallah.
our life, and we are really trusting what is happening, and whatever or whoever is trying to stop, it will never happen, because this is mega projects and many people are working.
This
and
is
we are
Egypt.
all
This is
happy
our
for it.
new Egypt.
Yeah.
Well, Engineer Mostafa Naggary, our
Thank you.
economic expert and the head of the Rice and Seeds Committee in the Chamber of in the Trade Chamber Union. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. And it's the third time, but we are going to start with you. The promise to see you again in more episodes of our program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
By this we come to the end of this episode of Money Means Business. Till we meet again, same time on TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.